Howdy, everybody. My name is Grant here for Team Evo, and I am going to talk about the list that I played at the Rosemont Regional this past weekend. I got 37th place, so not too bad. I was really hoping to top, but it just wasn't in the cards for me this weekend, I don't think. But I wanted to go over the deck list because I did okay with it. This deck profile is going to be really boring because Yummy is functionally solved at this point, I think. There's very little room for innovation, I think, in the main deck, but there's a little bit of stuff on the side and extra that I wanted to talk about, along with some specific lines and reasoning as to why I played the cards that I did. And I just wanted to talk about it because I love yapping. So let's just go ahead and get started. Again, this is going to be looking very familiar. I think this is one card removed from Triff's list at the YCS. Three of all the names, two surprise, one mignon, one acro K. All these cards are really good. I will only board out these three going second. I don't even board out of the acro K because the acro K is really important for board breaking. But other than that, I always keep these cards in. They are just incredible. But going second, I will take these three out for like three generic things on the side. But that engine, I think, the ratios are perfect, and I won't be changing until the marshmallow comes out, and even then, probably not that much. One drones, three engage, three obedience school for extra consistency, and then one call by the grave. Pretty standard. I'm not playing Prosby because I don't like that card in this deck. I don't like losing like 6 cards out of your extra. I think you can give up 3 really easily. I don't think you can give up 6, especially if you have to use it as a starter. And if I'm like about to play the game, like I'm going first, and I draw like a Prosby, and they're gonna interact with it, like I'd just rather that be any other card that they're gonna interact with. I don't know. I think Prosby feels really bad in this deck. Call by, though, I think was really good right now for going first because this deck really only loses to like Charmies and Breakers. So to be able to blank the Charmies is really good. Also, if they have like a Breaker and then they are able to keep you off of a surprise, maybe they ash the main deck Cupsy and you just didn't hard draw it, this is going to be really good for getting you out of that situation, especially since Imperm and Valor you can play around for functionally the entire match if you open well. So yeah, it's called by. I don't think I need to explain why it's that good. That's 21 cards for your engine. I think the engine was perfect. I wouldn't have changed a single card here. I also would not have changed a single card of non-engine. That I was playing 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Purge, 3 Valor, 3 Fualos. These are the good, I would say, like in every matchup non-engine. Each of these cards put in major work this weekend. I was a little bit sleeping on Valor up until Triff won the YCS, and then I tried it out and it was really good. I think once you cross the threshold and admit that you are going to play into Izuna, Valor is like the next best card, and so it's pretty good. I wouldn't have swapped any of these cards out for anything else. I pretty much did not bore out of any of these the entire day except for Fualos when going first. I also moved Perulia to the side deck. I was thinking if I wanted to main deck it or if I wanted to side it, and I decided to side it just because I didn't want to main deck a card I would have to take out going first. So I wouldn't have to play like 3 extra traps in my side deck that don't do anything going second. I figured that was just a cleaner pattern when these hand traps all do a lot going first or second. And then last 4 cards are 2 Bell and 2 Ogre. These cards are okay. Really, one of these is going to be good into a matchup, and one of these is going to be good into the other matchups. So against like Draco Tail and Yummy, I really like Bell, and for Yummy and K9 decks, I really like Ogre. So usually I would take out 2 of these for a 2-of slot in my sideboard that you'll see, and I would keep the other 2 in. And then sometimes them being level 3 tuners comes up with Herald lines that let you make a second Herald in the first turn a lot bit easier. I'm not playing the Starham, so I need the extra body to make the Herald. And this, if you discard one of these for cost for the or not for cost, if you discard one of these for the effect of Cupsy, it makes making the Herald really easy. I had to show like 4 or 5 people at the regional that you could do that, including at least 1 mirror match. Jeez. So it's just like a neat interaction you get by playing the level 3 tuner hand traps. I also thought about playing Mourner, but I think Mourner is bad, so I did not play it. Extra deck, we got 3 Snatchy and 1 of each of the Synchros. This is like really standard. The other standard stuff is the 1 Kagari, 1 Almirage. I considered Anima, but I think that Almirage is just kind of better in a more generic situation. Onari, I only made this like twice, but one thing I did was made it and then I crashed it to out a Ketu that was set in the back row on my turn. That was very funny. SP, Sometimes you end on it. Sometimes you use it for utility. It's pretty good. I actually made SP a lot less than I thought I would. Usually, if I'm gonna make an SP, it's like the choice is between SP or between Onari and crashing the Onari. But SP was really good. I played 1 Marcher and 2 Herald. This is all pretty standard. I didn't play the Starham because I don't like that card. I think going -2 for your combo just to end on 2 Heralds is not great. You can make it on your opponent's turn if you need to activate like the other effects kind of manually. But I feel like if you're in a position where that is coming up, you could also just bounce out a guy from the extra deck and then make it that way. I don't know. I don't really like the Starham for those reasons, so I didn't play it. The last 2 cards I think are kind of sus. These 13 I think are like mandatory essentially, but I think that these last 2 cards are optional, and that is IP and Secure Gardena. So I decided to play these because I was really scared of Contact Seed this weekend. Triff was playing it in his deck, and I thought a lot of people would be just taking Triff's list from the YCS and playing it this weekend, and I wasn't entirely wrong. But his list was playing Contact Seed in 2 of it, so I wanted to have an out for it just in case. The idea with this is that if you get... I have a Contact Seed here, actually. If you get Contact Seed, let's say you have, like, a normal summon and a thing, or maybe a Hornet Drones and a yummy name or something like that. If you have Obedient School, you do get screwed over with this line. Won't deny that. Which is why I'm not playing the Cross Sheep, because I'm playing these. I'll get into that in a second. But the idea is if you special summon like either a token or you normal summon a Fualos, they Contact See you. You have this board. You can then make IP, make Secure Gardena, special a yummy name from your hand, and then just play the game because you have a link 1 plus a level 1. If you normal summon Fualos just to like get a guy on the field or another hand trap just to start the combo, maybe an extraneous hand trap. Normally you go this into Almirage, special a name from your hand. If they Contact See you, you do functionally the exact same thing where you make IP, make Secure Gardena, special guy, synchro. That's the idea, and I think it would have been great if I got Contact Seed all weekend. I did not, so it never came up. I made IP once as just like an end board piece after I got nibbed, because I could make... I had a lot of cards in my hand that it was like a double Herald line that I was going for. And I had a lot of cards in my hand, but not a lot of great synchros to make with it, because I didn't want to commit the 3rd Snatchy from the extra deck, and I didn't want to commit like every card in my hand to making a Herald. It was just like a lot of advantage that I'd have to lose because I already went through Marcher. So I just made IP just to go for it. Something else. It was fine. So I made this once, and I made this 0 times. Going forward, I may or may not play these cards. I decided to play these over Cross Sheep because Cross Sheep is only better in the situation where you Obedient School. So if you go Obedient School, and they Contact See you, that is better because you can't make these under the Beast Lock for Obedient School. And so you can go Cross Sheep, and then you got 1 guy left to play with on the field, and that's enough to do like most of the combo. But statistically, you are more likely to open Hornet Drones plus name or normal summon plus name than you are to open Obedient School. So I felt like this was a better play for that reason. I don't think I would play Cross Sheep before this, just because statistically you are more likely to need this than you are to need the Cross Sheep. Also just because Cross Sheep requires you to have another way to play the game in your hand. So really you can only start with Hornet Drones or a normal summon while you have Surprise for this to work out for you. For the Cross Sheep to work out for you as you're out to Contact C, which is why I chose to play this, because it pretty much invalidates Contact C. All you need to have is an extra extender, which you will usually have because you have 16 one-card combos. Going forward, I probably would not play this. It just didn't come up. I don't think many people are on Contact C, or they just didn't draw it against me. One of the two. Not sure. It's one of those things that, like, once you get Contact C, you'll never take it out of your deck. But if you just never get Contact C, it doesn't really matter. I might play instead Typhon and number 2. Number 2 just to get OTKs, because one thing I was struggling with this weekend was trying to outgrind Draco Tail. Because, like, they get into, like, a really weird board state where it's kind of hard to kill them because they can summon back so many dudes. The branded variant, I mean, specifically, there was a lot of branded Draco Tail coming around, not a lot of pure Draco Tail from what I saw at the top tables. So sometimes it can be hard to clear all the bodies and then go for lethal. One thing that I noticed in one of my matches against somebody who was really good on Draco Tail, the guy who got 36th, I think it was him. He would always have like just enough guys to keep me off doing any serious damage to him. But if I had made number 2, we grab it real fast. It's a Sprite card. It's meant for like making Zeus or OTKing. Might be in this one. Hang on. This guy. This guy lets you OTK if your opponent just has like one really, really big monster on the field. You make it with 2 synchros, and then you just need 3 dinguses, and your opponent to have a monster with 2,700 or more attack to win the game. I played this early in the format. I think my deck profile from the OTS Championship had this in it. It didn't come up for me since then, so that's why I cut it. But I might put it back in because it came up at the regional against Draco Tail specifically. And that matchup's really bad, so I think you need to be playing all that you can for that matchup. And then I might just put in a Typhon instead of these 2. I think that's the only change I would make here. Last up is the side deck. I played 3 Perulia. This is my generic. I don't know what I'm playing against, but I'll put something in going second board, and also my board in for Vanquishal Canine. I really like Perulia this format. I think it's pretty good. Pretty much only into Vanquishal Canine and whack like rogue decks, but it does do like a lot of work into those decks. Going forward, I might cut it down to 2 just for boarding patterns, because I want to put something that me and Sam, whose deck profile will probably be up later this week, he got 10th place. We're talking about is having a lot of 2-ofs in your side deck to swap out for the Bell and the Ogre depending on the matchup. And so I might put this down to 2 for that reason. Also, like when you play against Vanquishal Canine, you have like 1 extraneous Bell in your deck that you can't, for the board patterns that I've come up with, like that you can't get rid of. And so this might be better from that situation. I don't think Bell is very good against Vanquishal Canine, but it's so good into Draco Tail going second that I think you have to play it. Other cards I played, the only other hand traps in the side deck were Retaliating Sea and 1 Contact Sea. These are for Draco Tail, primarily. Contact Sea I would put in against Yummy. I might play more of that in the future, I'm not sure. But I wanted all 4 of these into Draco Tail just because like this was the only way to like even the game state going second is if they go for like an early like Brand of Fusion or Rahu, or under the right situations Ketu, but that one's kind of bad. But if they go for like a Rahu or something like that, you can go and just banish all the cards they would use to summon it, which means they have to make a weaker fusion, or they can't get to add back essentially anything. One of the games, or a couple of the games that Sam was playing against Draco Tail, this did win him the game, especially versus that branded Draco Tail player. But, yeah, I think that matchup's just hard. You just need to be putting in, like, kind of ridiculous stuff to beat it, because, like, you're going to lose if you don't. Yeah, I didn't see it a single time this weekend. I can't say if it's good or not. But in my testing, it seemed pretty good. Dark Ruler No More. These was for Yummy and for Crystron K9 primarily. I know like mixing hand traps and board breakers is not ideal, but one of the strategies I was going into with Yummy is keep them off surprise and then Dark Ruler the board, and that should be enough for most game states, especially since like Dark Ruler is one of the only board breakers that actually does something because you can't respond to it. Super Poly is another one that does something, but I don't have the extra deck space to actually play Super Poly. But I really like Dark Ruler for the mirror, and we were testing with JP, who is also playing Yummy. When we were doing our testing, this was one of the only cards that actually equalized the game state if you were able to set up going second into the mirror. Because in Yummy, you don't need to kill them. All you need to do is clear their board and then establish like your game plan, and then you're pretty much fine in the mirror. Yeah. Other 2 cards, Feather Duster and Tactics. I really like these. These were really good the entire weekend. Duster especially, just to clear out back row, because Yummy has a really hard time dealing with back row in Engine. You pretty much just need Acro K, and that's the only way to deal with it, or like an extraneous SP or a Crash Donari, neither of which are very optimal, so Harpies is really good for that. There was a point where I was playing Harpies and 2 Lightning Storm, but I cut it down when I was on the Thrust package, and then I cut these entirely when I was playing all hand traps, and then I added these 2 in, I think, 5 minutes before I submitted my deck list. They were originally going to be another copy of Bell and another copy of Ogre, just to round out those matchups. But I kept drawing like 2 Ogre or 2 Bell, and like that's one of the only hand traps that doesn't do anything if you draw 2 of it. Like if you draw 2 Ash, you'll probably resolve 2 Ash if you like your hand is playable. Or if you draw 2 Imperm, that's great. Draw 2 Valor, that's great. Draw 2 Fualos, that's great. Perulia, that's great. Purge is not great if you draw 2 of it, but you will probably resolve 2 of it if the game lasts long enough. Ogre and Bell are just kind of the most awkward ones for that reason. So I just swapped it out with these. I also think that these fulfill the primary function of those. The reason you're playing Ogre into Vanquish Soul is to blank the field spell almost exactly because the trap hoses this deck so hard. Harpies blanks the trap, so you don't have to worry about that. Additionally, in Draco Tail, it'll bait out the Spell Negate, which is going to be the more impactful of the 2 trap cards. The bounce is good, but it's not as good into Yummy as it would be into some other decks. The real problem was the Spell Negate, and so these fulfilled the same role as Bell in that matchup because they both chase out that negate. Yeah, these were good. I wouldn't have swapped these out. The only cards I probably would have swapped out were maybe the Dark Rulers. Maybe. I think it depends. I didn't see Dark Ruler a single time. I was pretty much just playing main deck matches the entire time. I saw Perulia a couple times, and I saw these 2 a lot. But I didn't see any of the other sideboard cards like at all. I played the one Yummy Mirror where he had me go first, and I had a Dark Ruler and like a Perulia in my hand. I was like, all right, well, not Perulia, Fualos in my hand. So I was like, all right, well, sucks, I guess. And then Judgment. Judgment's like the best card of this deck list. Every time I drew Judgment going first, I won. There was one game where I like got nibbed and I could play through the nib, or I could just have follow-up set 2 Judgment and like an Imperm and a Purge and pass, and I did that and I just dumpstered the guy on the crackback. Overall, Jesus Christ. Overall, I would say the list was really good. I really like this list. Me and JP, shout out to JP, he and I spent a lot of time trying to theory out and practice this deck for the mirror, and I think it yielded a lot of success for me. The only things I would change are maybe like 1 or 2 Perulias for sideboarding pattern reasons, and then I might swap these 2 for like a Typhon and a number 2, or a Typhon and another utility guy. But other than that, the deck was really good. For shoutouts, I would like to give a shout out to Nick for helping me test the Vanquish Soul matchup, Matt and Noah for helping me test Draco Tail matchup, and JP again for helping me not only build the entire deck list with me, but also help me test the Yummy Mirror. Shout out to Team Evo and Evolution Games and Capital City TCG in Lansing. And yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.